Hi everyone. Excuse me. Thank you so much for joining this session on day 3 of the Consortium for Street Children Network Forum. It just seems to have been such an amazing couple of days, and it's so great to see that there are so many people on the call that have been with us through all the other sessions yesterday and the day before. So thank you for coming back, and really looking forward to a great session this afternoon, looking at street connectedness and education, and looking at how practitioners, specifically in their role, working with street connected children, help enable access to education. So just to start off with, I'll just ask Lauren to share a slide to get us started with a bit of housekeeping. Most of you will be very familiar with the housekeeping slide if you've been to the other sessions this week. So at the end of these presentations, there will be a discussion. Please feel free to use the chat box during and after the presentations to pose any questions to the speakers. Although actually on this slide, it says there'll be a Q&A. In fact, the discussion will be more of a group discussion rather than a Q&A with the presenters at the end. So please, if you have specific questions for the presenters, use the chat box. We have a hashtag, which you will no doubt be familiar with already, which is hashtag CSC Network Forum 2022. We are going to be recording this session. If you're not comfortable, then please feel free to leave, and the recording will be made available to all members to catch up on, or if you prefer to have your camera off because of the recording, then of course feel free. And do please keep yourself on mute until you're asked to speak. And we will be trying to field questions and comments during the discussion at the end. So you can use the hand up function by clicking on reactions, or you can also put questions in the chat and we may come to you to ask you to elaborate on comments that you make. So before we get started on the rest of the session, I'll just ask Lauren to skip to the next slide. Thank you very much. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a piece of research that Consortium for Street Children are involved with, which is being led by Manchester Metropolitan University in partnership with Chance for Childhood and Keep Your Shoes Dirty. This is a piece of research aiming to produce a positioning paper on the relationship between street connectedness and education and enabling access to education. So we want to understand the interplay of education and street connectedness, explore the extent to which the experiences of street connected children are considered by organisations who develop programmes to support their access to learning. And we also want to develop networks of practitioners that we might collaborate with on future research. You can see there's a QR code on your screen now. There's also a link to a survey, and I'll also put that link in the chat now for you. If you want to click on it to open it and then come back to it at the end of the session, we would love for as many people as possible to contribute to the survey. Now for this session today, seems a really rich opportunity for us to gather more data to contribute to the research. So what we'd like to do is ask for your permission that anything that is shared in this session today be used in the research and be analysed alongside our other data. Now, Ellie, I believe, is going to put a pop-up question on the screen for you. And it would be great if you could just select which of these you're comfortable with. So it's an option for you to consent to what you share being used in the data, and your name and organisation being named, that you consent to anything you share being used but anonymously, or if you don't consent to anything you share being used for the research, then that is absolutely fine, and tick option 3. So we're just going to leave that on the screen for everybody to respond to. Thank you very much. And there's absolutely no pressure to consent. We will be using the recording and we will have a list of who has said yes and no. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Fred now, who's going to introduce the theme of the session in a bit more detail and bring in our first speaker. Thanks, Fred. Oh, you're muted, Fred.
Thank you very much, Shan. Hello, everyone. Our topic is going to be actually looking at specific things that a practitioner, a street worker or social worker does to help street children access education. We will be hearing from two practitioners from very different contexts. One from India, which is going to be presented by Manisha, and the other one from Sierra Leone, and Amara will be presenting that. To start, we will welcome Manisha. Hello, Manisha. You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hello, greetings to everyone. I am Manisha Rawat, and I am going to present this PPT on the behalf of my organization named Chetna. So Chetna is a Hindi word which means awareness, and the full form of our organization is Childhood Enhancement Through Training and Action, like you all can see here. So our organization, next slide, please. So our organization Chetna is an Indian NGO which is working on the grassroots level since last 20 years with the street connected children, and we are working in Delhi and neighboring states, and we are right now our journey has been so far is to break the vicious cycle of poverty and get these street children, connected children, a basic human right of protection, education, healthcare, and participation, and opportunities for a livelihood. Yeah, next. Yeah, so as a social practitioner, like the theme of this session, enabling access to education from the lens of a social practitioner. So today I'm going to present some of the challenges which we often face in our field when we are working with the street connected children. And I'm going to start the challenges with one of the case study of our organization and this is the case study of a girl. The name which you all can see in this PPT has been changed because of the privacy reasons, and this beneficiary named Shaira, this beneficiary was identified by us in one of our intervention areas in West Delhi, and when we have identified this girl, she was in a very vulnerable situation and was migrated from one of the state of Bihar, and her entire family was abandoned by her father, and her father later on married someone else, and her mother also was a mental patient who went missing. And after that, her father, the father of this girl, abandoned the entire family and married someone else. So the child, along with her siblings, was for some time was fostered by her maternal grandmother, but later on her grandmother also started the health of her grandmother also started deteriorating, and and the child was not from, like I have said, was from a very vulnerable family, and her grandmother were also the first reason, of course, health. Her grandmother's health started deteriorating, and at the same time they were not financially well off enough to support her. So later on her grandmother was unable to support her, and the child along with the siblings shifted to migrated to the metropolitan city, New Delhi. So to support themselves, the child and her sister started working in this footwear factory, and both the sisters were working in a footwear factory as well, and they were managing the entire household by their own. Yeah, next. So the number one challenge which we faced, yeah. So this child named Shaira she was involved in a child labor, and if I tell you all very precisely, the childwear comprises of coloring the footwear straps, and she was working in a very vulnerable condition near the railway tracks, which means there was no infrastructure, no proper basic facilities so that a person can work decently. And she used to earn 5 rupees for 1 dozen of footwear straps. So the working hours comprises of 6 to 7 hours per day, and that too under a very immense mental pressure. Every day these children have a particular task of completing completing a number of straps. So if they will not complete the specific number, then they might not get a complete amount for the work they have done. The other major problem was that the child doesn't have a proper infrastructure, doesn't have a proper shelter, with no basic facilities, and lack of information about the school admission process in Delhi. The child, when the child was migrated from Bihar to Delhi, she was studying in Bihar, in a rural Bihar, in a rural village of Bihar. So, but when she moved to Delhi, at that point of time, she had no proper documents, no address proof, nothing with her, due to which she was unable to continue her education and she was forced to work as a child labor. Then later on, I would also like to add here that if any person would like to enroll himself or herself in a school in Delhi, in India, so the person, it is important, it is mandatory for a child to have a Aadhaar card. And if it is not there, then the admission process might take a little bit of time. So the child was abandoned by her father, and they don't have any proper documents through which anyone can support them for their education. The child later on was abandoned by her father, and later on they had no clue about his whereabouts as well. So due to which the school teachers refused to admit her in school, because there were no parents and no guardian. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. So the mitigation which we have adopted for this child, first, when we identified this child, it is very important to understand that when we have identified this child was in a very vulnerable situation. There was no support of a family. There was no support of any elder person from a family. So in such scenarios, it becomes really difficult for a child to build trust again. So when we identified the child, like I have written, was not very responsive and was very reluctant to trust us. But through multiple regular counseling sessions, when the child saw us, that how we are interacting with the rest of the children in the community, the child and how we are involved in the number of different processes to help the children, to get them enrolled in to enroll them in a mainstream education. So when the child herself witnessed our involvement with other children and noticed how we have helped other children in their process of school admission and in other aspects as well, she started reciprocating towards us. And we filled her online admission form under the non-plan school admission scheme, which is the scheme of a Delhi government in India. So under this scheme, if any child is a dropout or have never attended school, they can, the school will not refuse to enroll them. The school will enroll them in a class which is suitable as per their age. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so like I have mentioned that when we have identified the child, she migrated from a rural area to an urban metropolitan city. The child has no supporting documents, nothing to prove her identity. So in this scenario, we tried through, like I have said, that through multiple sessions, the child started sharing that how her maternal grandmother was fostering her, was helping her. So we contacted her maternal grandmother and asked her to send her Aadhaar card on through a phone. And because the child doesn't have her Aadhaar card with her, the address on her Aadhaar card was from Bihar, which is again one of the major hurdles for us. So because if I want to enroll myself in a school in Delhi, for that I need to have an address proof from the specific city. So because the child migrated from Bihar, so there was no proper address from Delhi. So later on, to mitigate this challenge, what we did is we updated her address, and we changed her address in Aadhaar card. And we visited school for her admission and explained her situation to the teachers, because her parents are not with her. And in such scenario, it becomes really difficult for school staff as well to enroll the child. But after listening to her story, and when they got to know that the child is abandoned by her father, the mother has disappeared. So in this situation, the teachers also advised us and her to make an affidavit. Affidavit, it's basically a legal paper in which it was written that from now onwards, that her elder sister will take her responsibility as a guardian, and asked for her Aadhaar card as well, which the sister of the Aadhaar card of her sister also was from Bihar. So we changed the Aadhaar card of her sister as well. We changed the address and everything in her Aadhaar card through MLA signature. MLA, which is the member of Legislative Assembly. There are MLAs in each and every, the MLAs represent the political party, the party which is right now in power. So through the support of member of Legislative Assembly, when they agreed to sign the affidavit, we wrote an application, and through the help of the Chetna team member, in which she accepted that she is taking care of the responsibility of her younger sister, like her elder sister is ready to accept her responsibility, and in the absence of her parents. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. So this was the process that, hello. Yeah. So this was the process that how we have mitigated this challenge. The outcome of this entire case was that eventually the child was finally enrolled in school, and the child doesn't have enough money to buy a school uniform. So our organization has helped her to arrange her uniform and the other things which we could do on our level. So the in the end, the case study of this girl Shaira is just one story of Chetna, but through the rigorous process of school admission and advocacy with school principals, Unique Identification Authority of India, this is for Aadhaar card, police department, and district child protection officer, child welfare committee, education department, we have been able to mainstream more than 655 such children in the last 9 months, among which the number of female children are 334 and the number of male children are 321. So till now that we are right now working with 655 children since last 9 months. Yeah, next. Yeah, so that was it from my side.
Thank you very much, Manisha. It's really interesting to hear the story, a great case study. Yeah. We will now move on to Sierra Leone and hear from Amara. Amara, you're welcome, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Frederick. I'm Amara Shingbe, working for Young Child Foundation here in Sierra Leone as a social worker. Can we get to the next slide, please? I'm here to do a presentation on enabling access to education. And why social work? For me, social work is a passion. It's beyond just a professional job, because it allows me to meet let me say, my urge to serve humanity. You know, before now, I had wanted to become a lawyer, but I thought about the gap between me and the vulnerable or poor communities. The gap would be too huge. So I choose social work as a result of that, because it helped me to contribute in making change in the lives of children, especially street-connected children here in Sierra Leone. Next slide, please. In my work, because definitely the challenges of street children here in Sierra Leone and from other perspective as been as a result of the stereotypes, you know, the generalization, the judgments that society have about them. This has led to them facing what they are facing currently on the street, whilst they stay with their families, with their groups and all. So for me, working with them, first of all, what I do is work with them based on their own perspective, leaving mine behind, because I'm different, they are different, I was raised differently, you know, they have what they believe in, they have their values, they have their perception. So I don't use my own perception as a base to evaluate theirs. Rather, I accept their views, their values, and use that to work with them. I accept their individual perception, as I've said. I give them chances to communicate, because one aspect to work with anyone, not only street connectivity, but even with partners, is through communication. Communication is like the blood vein. When you allow them to communicate, let them know that they can talk to you at any time about anything. When you don't have that boundary in your work as a social worker, when you're working with street connected children, you will succeed in working with them. Because whatever that is happening with them, they will talk to you about it, whether good or bad. As well, I was born and raised in the slum, the Georgebook community. So I present myself as a role model to them as well, you know, because what will start for us to gain equality for street children is by giving them hope, you know. So I make them see me like they can do it. If I have been in this slum, I went to school in this slum, went to the university, and now I'm out here impacting life, then you can do it. Because what is in you is greater than what the society is saying. You are better than this. It's just as a result of the opportunities that they are depriving you from having that is making you not to reach your full potential. Next slide. Maintaining relationships. You know, to build the relationship, it's one step, but to maintain the relationship. And I use different skills personally to maintain my relationship with them. I make them believe I'm always there for them. And how do you make them believe you're always there for them? It's not by giving them false hope. Be true to whatever you are telling them. If they ask you for a support or for anything, tell them if you can. If you cannot, tell them, no, I know you need this. Yeah, it's good for you, but I can't provide this at this moment, because that builds and keeps the relationship. Once you begin to tell them that I will give you this and you're unable to provide it, they will begin to lose it with you. They will begin to see you like you are not keeping to your promises. I tell them, if I tell you that I'm going to see you tomorrow, I will make sure I'll see you. Even if my schedule is tight, I'll make sure I'll go and see you and tell you, oh, I promise to see you. That's why I'm here. But unfortunately, my schedules are very tight. So please, can I go back and do something else? At least I've seen him. We've communicated, him or her. We've communicated and all that. So it keeps it. Provide support for them on issues amongst themselves or other communities. I support them when they have issues amongst themselves, because they are humans. Between themselves, they have issues. And also with society, with other general members of the society. And this come up most times when they have been disadvantaged by general members of the community as a result of the stereotype, the generalized idea that they have about them. So they always try to push them out of their own circle. And sometimes they revolt. And when they revolt, definitely they see them as bad. Anyone that comes, they will at least see them like they are the cause of everything. Show empathy. I show empathy. I make them know that I feel what they are feeling, because I've gone through it. You know, when I started my work as a social worker, then I realized that myself, I grew up in a street situation, because I had to trade for my family on a daily basis. I have to hawk sachet water for us to survive. So that was me in the street situation. So I know what they are going through. And I make sure my entire mind, when we communicate, when I'm with them, I give them my entire mind. I give them all I have within me at that time. So whatever I ask them for, they will give it to me. And whatever I try to talk to them about, they will definitely make sure they feel in the spaces that I want them to feel in. I try to understand their individual challenges, their hobbies, their strengths and weaknesses. Even as us, as professionals, we have our strengths and our weaknesses. And working with someone, not to, especially like children, you need to know where their strength lies, what they like, what they dislike. By knowing what they dislike, like most of them, like for the boys, they like football. So most times I take football from the office, go give it to them. On the Saturday, I get them to the field, we play football. So by making them happy, when giving them hope, they will accept, yes, yeah, there is hope. We can do better. Yes, we have people who still trust in us. Yes, we have people for them. We can do better in society and reach our full potential. Next slides, please. Thank you. Getting them involved, getting children involved. The child-centered approach. You cannot work for them without them. Always, I try to make sure I explain their rights to them in a way that they can understand it. You know, their rights. Even the people within the general society, most of them are not aware of these rights. What the right is saying, what the right is asking us to do to children. Most of them do not understand. And as a result of that, stereotype has changed their mind. And it has been long they have living in that. So I make sure when working with them, I try to explain, you have rights to this, but this is what, this is this and this you should do to make you enjoy this right, and by using this right to reach your full potential. I include them in training workshops and stakeholders engagement meetings. Because I tell them that they are part of society, I don't just let them stay between myself and them. Rather, I take them to public domains, like when we have training, like the last time we have stakeholders engagement in the CSC project, I took them there. The last time we celebrated the International Day of Street Children, which was in April, they were there. In fact, they led the session. I allowed them to gather their challenges, their solutions, did their presentations from themselves. And the stakeholders were there. The stakeholders said their own stories and their own part. So they were able to communicate. People were, you help them to at least know that we are part of society and we can contribute into things that are meant for us to make our life better. I provide them with motivation and strength that they can do better, and they think shouldn't allow stereotype held them by society. That's obvious, because even the ones that are giving them negative influence, it's as a result of the stereotypes. So them as a victim, I try to break their mind from this stereotype that is involving their mind that, oh, I can't do better. I said, no, you can do better. And also, I make them visible in everything I do within my community. I make them visible. I mean, sometimes people just, they are your children. You are even the one that is encouraging them to stay on the streets. You are encouraging them to do the bad things. I said, no, society is pushing them. And to some extent, they have no one to come to their aid. And if we leave them like this, society will make them lose, maybe even lose their lives, lose what they should become in life, their dreams, their aspiration. Because they are street children themselves, they do have strong dreams and aspiration of becoming better people, but the platform is not given. And if we are not there to provide this platform, then definitely we'll see that their life will go astray and they will be unable to reach their full potential. I also make sure they understand the limitations to their rights and to avoid hurting other people. Not because I'm always with them makes them feel like we are free to do everything, but you need to live within the confines of the law, whether the local laws or the national laws. You have your rights, so as well your rights go with limitations. Because making them understand this, make them know that, oh yes, if we do this, it's bad, and we might get in problem. So I let them know their limitations to their rights as well. Next step. Working with other stakeholders. In working with the children, you don't just focus on the children, because you alone cannot do it. But engaging other stakeholders like funded partners, community, local leaders, parents, teachers, because that's the circle. It needs to go around. Because if you engage just one group, there is tendency for the impact to stop at a particular point. But if you engage the circle, then it will go around and around, then it will get a huge more impact. Like parents, including teachers, I educate them through training, workshop sessions, and focus group discussions. I engage them, I encourage them, I invite them to focus group discussions, let them speak out, let them listen to the kids as well. So by them, I unite them and make sure they know that these are not bad people. It's society that is branding them bad. they are better people. The strength they have in them is much more greater than the one that we are even thinking about. So if we give them the platform in society, then definitely they can be better people than we are even thinking. So creating that environment for stakeholders, partners, to make sure that we are the lens of viewing them that they are better people helps me a lot in my work. Establish relations with personnel at community police posts. Because I know most times people take them to the police station, I establish relationship with the police personnel at the police post. Make sure that whenever there is an issue that is related to a street-connected child that is taken to their station, they must alert me first before taking further actions. By alerting me first, I get to the police station, talk to the police, know what the issue is about, and then try to see how I can resolve it or meet escalating into a more bigger something that will affect their lives. So I establish this relationship with strategic stakeholders within the community, and that makes my work more easier. Next slide. Challenges, definitely work like this, especially when you have to do with human and society. It's changing every day. It's changing based on situations, based on challenges, it's changing. So you definitely have these challenges. But I see these challenges like they give me strength, because meeting a challenge and going through it and reaching my goal will give me the lesson that I have the strength to do it and do it again. One challenge that is really, really tough for me is breaking existing stereotype about them. Many people don't trust in them, but I keep on reaching to them that, no, this is not what you think. I've been with them, I've worked with them. Yes, they are just like human, like you and I. You must have things that you do that hurt other people, even though you are okay. But they themselves, they have their good things. And if we work on those good things, definitely they will be the better people. High expectation from families and children. This is very huge. Once they begin to see you that you are working for a non-governmental organization, especially here in Sierra Leone, they think you have the whole resources that you can provide whatever they call for. So their expectations are very high. So I try to manage their expectation. That's why I don't promise them things I cannot do. No. If you ask me for a particular support and it's a project, I will try to tell you that these are the support or the services that this project is rendering to you. And this is the impact that we are expecting. This support that you are asking for or requesting for is very important. But as of now, we cannot provide them. So managing their expectation is very much key. Because if you are not able to manage the expectation, you give a yes to whatever they request and you cannot provide, a yes to whatever they request and you cannot provide, it will hinder your relationship with the street-connected children and their families. Community involvement and bashing. Communities bash at me. They see me like, someone that is leading the street-connected children to continue to stay on the street, to be like disobedient to their families, to do things that they are doing. But I tell them, no, this is not it. They are humans. I've been in this situation. Even though mine may not have been worse like them, but I've been in this situation. I know what it seems like. I know what it is like to live on the street. We need them as they need us. So we need to create a platform so they can stay within and reach their full potential. Getting a portion of their time and then keeping to schedules. It's a huge challenge when you have an appointment with them, because their movement is not, at least, let's say, stagnated. They can move when they want to move without your consent. If they have something to go and do that will gain them an income for a moment, they can just move. They will not even think that, okay, I have an appointment with Uncle Lamara because this is how they usually call me. So like, I try to track them, make sure my appointment schedules are time that they are less busy, because during the afternoon hours, they are very, very much active and busy, trying to see how they can get in. So in the early morning hours as well, they are very much busy because that's the start of the day. People need them to do some work for them around. And as well, lack of funds to meet their personal needs outside.
Sorry to interrupt, just to say, you just got 1 minute left before we move on to the discussion. Okay. So you might want to just skip to the next slide. Thanks, Amara.
Okay.
Thank you, Shan.
All right, thank you. And so like outside normal, like funds, personally, support from colleagues, building professional relationships, you cannot do it alone. You need your colleagues. The perception, I have tried to see how I can influence colleagues as well to have the same perception about them, in working with them, in dealing with them. and I try to introduce my colleagues to them so they can be their friends as well. Because there are sometimes you get a breakdown, you get vacation, you go off work, you know, but they need support yet still. So like you need to communicate, you need to connect them with other people within the work. Colleagues help fuel new ideas and support when I cannot see the forest through the trees. Definitely, as a result of your colleagues giving you support, there are things that you may not be able to see at a particular moment, and then you will be able to move through it. Next slide. Thank you. And what next? As I was saying, from BFSS, we will be handling a project that will be providing support for street-connected children, especially those that have been affected as a result of the war down at Grafton. And we'll be working on this project with our project partner here in Sierra Leone, Codwella, and internationally BFF and CSC. And through this project, we'll be improving their educational outcome in Grafton for war-affected children, especially because they are too much there and their potentials has been stagnated as a result of lacking the opportunities, especially educationally, both formal and informal. Because we are moving with this twofold because we don't want to leave anyone behind. If you think you cannot get back to school, then a skill training informally can help you reach your full potential in life. And this project will be starting by next year early. And we are very much happy about this project. We are very much prepared to make sure the project reach its impact and will derive at our objectives that we have set with BFF, our partner, BFSS, our partner, Consortium for Street Children, and Codwella, to make sure this project becomes a success and street-connected children out there in the Grafton community, which is in the western rural of Sierra Leone, really reach their full potential with this support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amara. Very interesting presentations. Thank you for to both of you.
You're welcome.
This has given a very unique parallel, listening to what was presented by Manisha and now Amara. And we want to go into some discussions. The question for discussion is the how you work? Is the how you work as important as what you do? How you work, is it as important as what you do? So we would like to hear your responses. Everybody is free to type in the chat box. If you want to share, you want to speak, please, you can raise up your hand. We will give you a chance to speak. Keep your mic muted until you are given a chance to speak. But this is now open to everyone. Is the how you work as important as what you do? Looking at the presentations by Manisha and Amara, you know, look at those, a great parallel. Is the how you work as important as what you do?
We have a hand up from Folabomi Akindi.
Yes.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone, depending on where you are right now. My name is Folabomi. Work with Young Ambassadors Against Drug Abuse Initiative and the Street Children's Parliament. The question put across stating that it is how you work as important as what you do. Yes, it's very important. I've had the privilege to work with street children in a community in Abuja called Waru Community. And along the line, like what Amara said, you need to know what they want. And we were able to discover that these children love to play football. Some of them love to do sporting activities. And we picked up that opportunity and we started training them. Luckily, an event came, I think it was hosted by Southampton Football Club. They came to Nigeria and they needed to work with club sides in Nigeria, Abuja precisely. And luckily, we were requested to bring players, and we had our girls to attend. We made sure we did a lot of work to put these girls together, to get them fine-tuned for the competition. To be honest with you, this event was around April this year, and we won that tournament. And I was so happy. Everybody in Yadi was so happy that we won that tournament. It was surprising because we had other club sides that came in for that event. The children we are talking about that we worked with are between the ages of 12 and 16. But luckily, we won that tournament, and it was a great achievement. Since then, these girls, they'll tell you they want to continue. We are starting up another event again, football tournament for the street girls on the 14th of next month. And we'll send CSC our invite so that they will also be part of us, and we'll send pictures and videos so that people can see. What you do, for as long as you are putting in effort in it, you will enjoy doing it. And that has yielded the result when we won that Southampton Cup in Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing all that.
Have another hand
Phil,
from me?
yes. Do we have another hand?
Funmi, I think if you want to start, you just need to unmute yourself. Funmi or Miss Sope?
Yeah.
No, we have another hand, which is Sagar Sisodia. Hi, Sagar.
She can't unmute. Is it possible to help her?
Sorry, Sagar, we can't hear you. I know you're unmuted, but I think your microphone may be off.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
perfect. I had to switch my mic. So it's good to be here, first of all, after such a long time. And one of the key factors what we are working is like we put mentors, like we call them learning mentors, to street connection. We connect them. These are all youth members. So one of the process what we use is like we share within ourselves. Like it's difficult to pinpoint. There's no such one formula that this is what we do and the result will be building trust, and you build the trust. It's a continuous process. So one of the major one of the major things which we use in our organization is having those circles of sharing, where we pinpointing out and trying to understand what all things can help to build the trust, and what things are needed to change our stereotypes or our ways of talking to children or etc. So that becomes a very important way of approaching children and building relationships with them.
Oh, Fred, you there?
Thank you very much. So then let's move to the next question. How do you overcome challenges to for street children to access education? I know there are a lot of challenges, so it would be interesting to hear how you overcome those challenges, really. You can put up your hand, you can write in the chat box.
We've got a hand from Samad, and we have another one from Pia.
Yeah, first the Miss CEO, then I would comment on the presentation. Let the CEO share her insight.
Thank you, Samad. That's very kind of you. I actually wasn't going to share an insight. I was going to ask a question. So why don't I ask my question and leave the speakers to think about it and then pass to you, Samad. I was just really interested to ask the two presenters around the issue of relevance of education. Something we hear back a lot from organizations is that, and we've heard it a lot in the work we're doing around worst forms of child labor in Bangladesh and in Nepal, is around relevance, and that children just feel what they're being taught in schools is not appropriate. And, you know, they'd much prefer to be able to go out and earn some money and do something that's useful for their family. So I'd love to get speakers' response to that. And let me, while you think about it, let me pass over to Samad.
Thank you.
So may I now?
Yes, please go ahead.
But in Pakistan, if you see the judicial system plus the jail system, I mean, I'm very much interested in juvenile justice system, the children who are in conflict with the law. So if you Google on from your laptop, type it the jail manual, Pakistan jail manual 1978. There is no provision of law which talks about the education for the children. In Pakistan, there is no concept of giving education to children who are behind bars or those who are in the protective custody. We just talk about education, yeah? Even the institutions, the departments, the parliament, the police, the jail system, the jail administration, they talk about giving education to the prisoners, even to the person who are less than 18, I mean children. But there is no system over there. They just talk about giving the religious education. Okay, but what about the technology? What about the scientific information? What about the mathematics? What about the science? No, we do not give any education to our children. If you see Article 25A of the Constitution of Pakistan, that says that free education should be given to every child of Pakistan who is of age 15, up to the age of 15. But what about the children behind bars, the children with mother? A mother accused or facing a trial or facing a criminal litigation in Pakistan can have a child up to the age of 3 behind bars. What about his education? We do have laws, but we do not have implementation. So I believe that implementation is the utmost a priority to be taken on board in subcontinent, in Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. And in Pakistan, as far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan is a over legislation laden country. We do the legislation, but we don't go for the implementation. And if you see today's newspapers, English newspaper, leading English newspapers, we have a parliamentary caucus on the rights of children now. I mean, 12 or 10 member of the parliament, they are going to constitute a caucus. But what they're gonna do? Last year, I invited to participate in a special task force by the Speaker of Parliament. So what happened then? Nothing. So we have to talk about the implementation. We all have the laws. We allow, more or less, I mean, if you go to America and overseas, but we do not talk about the implementation. We have the laws. Even we have the Juvenile Justice System Act. We have the Destitute and Neglected Children Act 2004. But we do not have the implementation at all. So we shall talk about giving the education to the children as per the law. We have the laws. So that's all from my side.
Thank you very much. We also have Amara's hand. Thank you very much. Amara, please go ahead and share.
I'm not sure if we just lost Amara and
we
Santiki at the
lost
same time. They
Amara.
might be in the
Oh.
same building, so we lost both hands at
Okay.
once.
I'm back.
Oh, you're
Oh,
back.
yes, yes, please, please.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much. Sorry, we are struggling with internet, but yeah, we are working on it. So, with regards to how do we overcome education and so, for me, I have a very strong example. I was a child soldier, fought for the during the war in Sierra Leone. I sustained some bullet wounds and then came to the city in year 2000 to continue my education. You know what I did? I was working as a night security guard to raise funds for myself because I had no one to support me. So I was working as a security, and in daytime I go also to get my education. You know, I was also working for other people, like doing laundering, so that I can able to raise funds to help myself what I need. So being through all those things, you know, and I was when I started my education in the city as a junior secondary school from Form 1, and then I went to Form 2. I was also like, you know, experiencing the challenges. Even to get food is not easy. But then, you know, in my mind, in my focus, I know I must achieve something. And then during that time as well, I was also volunteering with other organizations, mainly focused on human rights issues. So through the reintegration training program that was conducted after the war, when we came, how can we connect to people? How do we integrate with community people? How to behave, not in the violence manner we used to, but something in a different kind of formal ways. So I then coped with that, started to develop my mind, control myself, and then definitely at the end, through my volunteering program, I was able to start William Child Foundation. You know, I focused mainly on education because I realized that by then, there is not enough infrastructures. Schools have been destroyed, property have been destroyed, and so the main focus is how do we empower people? How do people go to school? How do children get back education? So I started this organization mainly focused on education. And then today I'm happy, you know, through our work with partners, you know, I went to the internet talking about what I'm doing, recruiting international volunteers to come in. People, some come with pencil, pens, some comes with books to support, some comes with their knowledge, ideas of fundraising. So these are all some of the things we do together to, you know, overcome barriers. You know, it's hard sometimes, and the same, like some of the same experience we have gained, other people have also experienced that, and the children we are also looking forward to help are also experiencing that. And because of that, we are developing programs based on what the challenges we are facing on the field. Like we develop skill training center. Why? Because we realize that a lot of girls are left are dropping out of school because there is no money. There is no one to continue supporting them, and maybe they lost their parents or forced to marry, you know, at an early age. So the other way, alternative, we think about alternative ways to help them to come over. And that was why we established the skill training center. And just a week ago, last Saturday, we had a huge graduation, and then also we distributed skill training materials with the support from CSC as well. So these are some of the practical things we should be doing as an organization, you know, in addressing overcoming education. You know, education is in a different form, not only sitting in the classroom and writing, but also, you know, explanation. That's why we have these safe spaces where we discuss, and also we have counseling, because when you talk to someone, you relate yourself, your conditions, where you are now. That individual will not, you have gone through a lot of things, but here you are able to overcome all those things. Show them the way. Tell them, because let me tell you, there are many people out there who want to help, but because you are not presenting your issue, it's difficult for someone to know what is bothering you. So present it. But some, like the kids we are working with, they don't have the way to present it. We are the frontliners who's supposed to know it, who's supposed to present it. So like CSC, who are there to support, and CSC also can contact donors, you know, who are also funding in those areas, and we work together and address the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have, before we continue, we have an issue that was raised by the CEO, And we would like Amara and Manisha to respond to this question. It's the question around the relevance of the content of education. Is it an issue? Do you think that's an issue, the relevance of the content of education? Is it an issue? We are going to welcome Manisha and then Amara to respond to this question.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, so can you please repeat?
It's there's a question raised by the CEO around relevance of education. Do you think it's an issue?
Relevance of education is
looking at the content mainly. Yes.
Yeah, it is an issue in in areas where there is no awareness towards it. So in those areas we often face challenges, and they find it irrelevant, because see, we need to understand this from the perspective that when we are interacting with the street connected children in a community, the children, their families are struggling for their basic needs. They are struggling for the meals, or for the meals which we are having maybe 3 times a day, but they are not maybe having one time a day. They are not maybe having a proper meal 1 time a day. In such scenarios, it becomes, if practically we all, I would like to ask you all people as well, that if I'm struggling with my financial crisis, if I'm struggling financially, what will I choose? Will I choose to work, or will I choose my education? Right. So through this, and in that area, maybe I'm a mother of 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, and I really want my children to study. I know the importance of study. I know how education will going to make my children from nobody to somebody. But do I have a choice? Do I really have a choice to use this right? The problem which I often feel as a social practitioner, we all in each and every region of the we have guests from all the regions in the world, and we all have rights. We all have right to education, I hope, in each and everyone's country. But do we really have a choice to practice that right? Do we really have a choice to so that I can just go and say that I really want to educate my children, but do I have food for my children in their plate so that I can feed them and send them to school? This is the major problem which we often face when we are talking to people, when we are interacting people in a community. So really, I'm not saying that education is not at all relevant. I'm not, and it is very difficult for us to say that in such scenario, because there are children, there are parents who are sending their children despite of the financial crisis, but there are much more vulnerable children who just can't send their children to school. They are not sure that whether they are going to have a full-time meal a day or not. So this is actually a very, my response might sound very partial to all of you, but this is the problem which we face in a real scenario.
Yeah, Manisha, thank you very much. Really, it was quite a technical question, and with your question also, you have responded much more technically to give us some thought. Food for thought, thank you so much. We will then move to Amara.
Yes, thank you. I think definitely we can't move with them or try to support them without education, be it skill or formal or mainstream education. But for us, because we work in slum communities and especially rural communities, the level or the rate of illiteracy amongst people there is really tampering with the access to education, especially with parents. Parents are not educated. Most parents of these vulnerable children are not educated. And the barrier that is making this stronger is poverty. Poverty is a very strong barrier that is making, even though when the parents try to understand that with education, my kids will not be in my position in the future, yet as a result of poverty, they cannot, because most of the kids that work in those street situations, they are part of the group that provide income for their families on a daily basis. And even if they are in school, you will find out that their performance, their attendance, it drops because sometimes they don't go to school on time. You know, they don't have time to study because after school, you have to go out there, maybe hawk for the whole day, come home tired. What you do is sleep. So you don't have time to go over your lessons, even when it's exam. So what you do, you score low grades. And some grades force them. Because repeating the class twice, it's really tough. Even though when this will be in school, what makes them feel as well is providing the basic necessities for the kids. Even though the government is telling us that it is a free education for primary level and secondary, yet there are some charges that are attached to the education system. And some parents are poor to the extent that they can't afford them. And those street-connected children that are only living with maybe caregivers or ordinary people that sympathize with them, they find it very difficult to have this access to like books, pens, you know, and other charges in school. And most times they are sent out of school. And this as well reduces their chances of reaching their full potential. Teachers, school administrations as well, as a result of their stereotype about and against these children, they see them like they are not fit to be in their classes. And so me working for Young Child Foundation as an education and child protection officer, I always go to these schools, interface with these teachers, provide sure every child, irrespective of their social status, enjoy the free access to education because it's a right, and not a right that is limited, but a right that should be enjoyed by every human being as a child. Yeah, and getting those contacts with them, it makes them think like, okay, even when you are there, they will work towards it. And when you're out, you find out that they find it very difficult for the kids to thrive in those situations. So all these barriers are making their access to education, and even when they access the education, for them to reach their full potential. So putting an end to this barrier through stakeholders engagement, like school administration, like teachers, even the parents, because it's really tough, because taking them off from the street, like from hawking on a daily basis, is really tough. As far as like at Young Child Foundation, we have what we call a family business grant. When we get these kids into like skill training or formal school, we make sure we provide these families with some amount of money, which are not refundable. It's theirs. But to make sure we tie a clause to it that this money is for the education of this child. But this doesn't mean that this child should be the one taking the business to the market to make the money to support their education. So the families, by taking the kid off the street, you provide them another avenue to generate income. Because if you just take the kid out of the street, take them to school or to informal setting, to education, they will be taken out by this parents.
Thanks,
because they'll begin to ask, where are we going to get our next meal from? Who is going to feed you? You need lunch. Who is going to give you lunch? Who is going to buy you books? Who is going to buy you bags? You know, and all these circumstances will at least reach to the point that the kid will not be able again to attend school and reach their full potential.
Thank you very much, Amara. I'm going to let Shan take us as we finalize.
Thank you so much, Amara. We've gone over time by about 5 minutes, but we couldn't bring ourselves to stop you because what you were saying was so powerful and so brilliant. And I think it's just absolutely wonderful to hear from both you and Manisha and everyone else who's contributed to the conversation and in the chat. Thank you so much. I think, you know, we've talked a lot about the challenges, and I think those challenges that you talked about there, Amara, are those challenges that we want to all be working together to keep talking about and to find solutions to. And there isn't going to be one magic solution to those challenges. And it certainly sounds like from everything that people are saying in the chat, really it takes a lot more than than just one solution when it comes to securing the access to education, but also making sure that children can stay in education, and the families and the schools are so obviously much an important part of that. So thank you, everybody. Just before we go, I just want to say I've put in the chat box again, I'm about to put in my email address and also the link to the research survey. If any of you are particularly interested in knowing more about the research, please do click on that link where you can take part in the research and learn more about it. If you are interested in being a practitioner reviewer of the research paper we will be publishing, then please email me. My address is there along with the link. And just to say, as you can see, we've got the next session happening tomorrow in the Network Forum, which is going to be a really interesting session looking at working with the police. And then we'll be following up with a session on how to write a winning fundraising application, which will be excellent. Also to say, Barakat has just reminded me that if you have a particular interest in education, we are going to be putting together a group of organisations to think about that a little bit more. So if please do email me if you've got particular interest there, because it would be great to hear from you around that. But just to say thank you, everybody. Thanks so much, Manisha and Amara. Two really interesting presentations. Sorry to all those we didn't get to on the questions, but time was tight. And really look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning for this session on working with the police, which I believe is 10 AM GMT. Thanks, everyone.